The worst Toyota RAV4 for a senior is not always the oldest one, and that is where many buyers get trapped. Because some RAV4 years look reliable from the outside, carry the Toyota badge on the grille, and still hide the kind of oil-burning transmission shudder, low-speed hesitation, weak headlights, or hybrid cable corrosion that can turn a simple used SUV into an expensive mistake. The RAV4 is one of the most recommended SUVs for older drivers because it sits at a comfortable hip height, it is not too low like a sedan, it is not too tall like a truck, it has a strong reputation for reliability, and it usually holds its value better than many compact SUVs. But not every RAV4 year deserves that reputation. And if you blindly buy one just because it says Toyota RAV4, you can end up with a repair bills that completely destroys the reason you bought a Toyota in the first place. For a senior driver, the standard is different from a normal used car buyer, because the vehicle must not become a project. It should not require constant dipstick checks. It should not hesitate when pulling into traffic. It should not shake at neighborhood speeds. It should not make night driving harder than it already is. And it should not hide a multi-thousand-dollar repair underneath the rear bumper where nobody checks until the warning light comes on. A good senior-friendly RAV4 should be predictable, easy to enter, easy to see out of, easy to park, gentle in traffic, and equipped with the safety features that help when reaction time, night vision, neck movement, and comfort matter more than horsepower or flashy styling. So in this video, I'm not ranking these years based on opinion, dealership hype, or somebody saying mine has been fine. I'm looking at the mechanical pattern behind the complaints, Toyota service bulletins, recall and warranty history, safety equipment, headlight differences, and the ownership risks that matter specifically to seniors. And instead of wasting your time by treating every single year as a separate story, I'm going to group the RAV4 into the problem years and the sweet spot years, so you know exactly which ones deserve your money, which ones need extra inspection, and which one I would personally put near the top of the list if I were buying a used RAV4 for an older driver. Let's start with the first avoid group, and this is the one I would be very strict about because it creates the kind of maintenance burden that a senior driver should not have to live with. Be extremely careful with the 2006 and 2007 Toyota RAV4 with the 2.4-liter 2AZFE four-cylinder engine. And also be cautious with the 2008 model if it has the same engine and no proof of repair. The reason is not cosmetic, and it is not a small annoyance. These model years are tied to Toyota's well-known 2AZFE oil consumption issue, where the piston and oil control ring design can allow the engine to burn oil at a rate that is far beyond normal. And when that happens, the owner may find themselves adding oil between services instead of simply changing the oil every few thousand miles like a normal driver. That is a serious problem for a senior because oil consumption does not always show up as a dramatic cloud of smoke from the exhaust, and the vehicle can look perfectly normal until the oil level drops low enough to cause pressure problems, timing chain noise, bearing damage, or even full engine failure. This basically means that an older driver may have to open the hood regularly, pull the dipstick, wipe it, check the level, buy oil, pour oil into the engine, and remember to keep doing that between oil changes, and that is not the kind of ownership experience you want for someone who bought a Toyota because they wanted peace of mind. A car for an older driver should reduce stress, not create a new maintenance habit that can ruin the engine if it is forgotten. There's another reason these years worry me, and that is the 2AZFE's reputation for cylinder head bolt thread failure in some applications. Where the threads in the aluminum block can strip, the head gasket can lose clamping force, coolant can leak, and the engine can overheat. Now, not every 2006 or 2007 RAV4 will have this failure, and a perfectly maintained example can still be running today. But when you combine excessive oil consumption, age, possible overheating risk, old rubber seals, worn suspension, tired mounts, and incomplete service records, this is not the kind of RAV4 I would choose first for a senior. If the seller cannot show clear records that the oil consumption repair was performed, or if the engine has any sign of low oil, rattling on startup, coolant law, overheating history, or blue smoke after idling, the smart move is to walk away. The second year I would avoid is the 2013 Toyota RAV4. And this one is a different kind of risk because it is not mainly about checking oil or worrying about an old engine. It is about buying the first year of a redesign, where the platform, electronics, body structure, transmission calibration, interior layout, and manufacturing process have all changed at the same time. First-year redesigns are always where I become more cautious, because the showroom version may look fresh and improved, but the real world is often where the problems start showing up after the vehicle has already left the dealership. The biggest mechanical concern on the 2013 RAV4 is the torque converter shudder issue that affected some 2013 to 2015 models, where the vehicle can develop a brief shudder under light throttle between roughly 25 and 50 miles per hour. Many drivers describe this as feeling like the vehicle is driving over rumble strips, even when the road is smooth, And that matters for seniors because this speed range is exactly where many older drivers spend a lot of time during everyday driving, especially on neighborhood roads, suburban streets, school zones, and light city traffic. A vehicle that vibrates or shudders during gentle acceleration does not inspire confidence. And when an older driver starts wondering whether the transmission is failing every time the car reaches 35 miles per hour, the car has already failed the senior-friendly test. The 2013 RAV4 also lacks the stronger standard driver assist technology that makes later years much easier to recommend. You are not getting the same level of standard automatic emergency braking, lane departure support, adaptive cruise control, and senior helpful safety equipment that became more available later in the generation. And while a good driver can operate a 2013 RAV4 safely, the question here is not whether the vehicle can be driven, but whether it is the smartest RAV4 to buy for an older person when better years exist. For seniors, I want the car to assist without overwhelming them. And 2013 simply does not give enough advantage to justify choosing it over a 2017 or 2018 model. Now, this next one is the year many people think is safe because it looks modern, sharp, and much newer than the older body style, but that is exactly why I would be careful. The third year I would avoid, or at least be very selective with, is the 2019 RAV4 gas model. On paper, the 2019 RAV4 seems like the obvious upgrade because it launched the fifth generation design. But in real ownership, the gas version developed enough drivability complaints that Toyota issued a service bulletin for hesitation when accelerating from a slow roll or rolling stop, especially at very low speeds after a downshift. This matters because hesitation from a rolling stop is not just a comfort complaint. For a senior driver, that exact situation happens when entering a roundabout, turning across traffic, rolling out of a junction, merging from a side road, or creeping forward in a parking lot before pressing the accelerator again. And if the vehicle pauses, thinks, and then lurches forward, the driver may lose confidence in the car's response. Predictable acceleration is one of the most important things in a senior-friendly vehicle because an older driver should not have to guess whether the transmission will respond smoothly or delay at the exact moment they need the vehicle to move. The 2019 RAV4 gas model also had other early generation complaints that make it less attractive than the years that came after it, including reports around fuel tank filling issues and coolant bypass valve failures on some vehicles. I am not saying every 2019 RAV4 is bad, and I am not saying an updated, well-maintained example cannot be a decent car. But if the buyer is a senior and the budget allows a better year, I would not make 2019 my first choice. If you are still considering one, do not buy it after a lazy 5-minute test drive around the block. You need a cold start test, a slow-speed rolling stop test, a parking lot crawl test, a highway test, a scan for stored codes, and proof that any applicable software updates and repairs were completed. The fourth avoid category is not a single gas model year, but it is too expensive to ignore, and this is the problem that can hide underneath a beautiful-looking hybrid that drives perfectly during the test drive. Be very careful with 2019 to 2022 RAV4 hybrid AWD models if the vehicle has lived in a cold climate where roads are salted, because this is where the high-voltage rear motor cable corrosion problem, often called cable gate, becomes a major hidden cost issue. The problem area is the connector between the high-voltage floor underwire harness and the rear traction motor cable, where corrosion can develop, especially in harsh winter conditions. And when this failure happens outside coverage, owners have reported repair costs that can reach several $1,000s because this is not a simple low-voltage wire repair. This is exactly the kind of problem most normal buyers never check, because the vehicle can look clean, the paint can shine, the interior can smell new, the mileage can be low, and the hybrid system can drive perfectly during a short test drive. But the expensive issue is sitting underneath the vehicle near the rear drive motor connection, where salt, moisture, and debris do the damage quietly. For a senior buyer, that is a serious concern, because the hybrid RAV4 is otherwise one of the best versions to drive. Yet this one hidden cable can turn a smart purchase into a financial shock. That does not mean you should avoid every 2019 to 2022 RAV4 hybrid, but it does mean you must inspect the cable, verify whether Toyota's customer support coverage applies, and confirm whether the updated protection or repair has been done before buying. Now let's move to the RAV4 years I would actually recommend, and this is where the list gets more useful because not every good year is good for the same buyer. Some years are better for a tight budget, some are better for safety, some are better for long-term ownership, and some are better if the senior driver wants smoother low-speed driving without stepping into unnecessary risk. The first sweet spot is the 2016 Toyota RAV4, and I would call this the best budget pick if you want a sensible used RAV4 without paying newer model prices. This is not the most exciting choice, but it sits after the early 4th generation launch year and before prices climb into the newer 5th generation models, which means you get a more mature platform without stepping directly into the 2019 first year redesign issues. For a senior who wants a straightforward SUV, the 2016 RAV4 gives a comfortable seating height, manageable size, useful cargo space, familiar controls, and a simple gas engine and automatic transmission combination that most mechanics understand well. The reason 2016 works better than 2013 is that it gives you more maturity within the same generation, and in used cars, maturity matters. By this point, Toyota had more time to refine the 4th generation RAV4, and while every used car still needs inspection, a clean 2016 with good service records is a more logical choice than chasing the earliest version of that generation. If the buyer's budget is limited, I would rather see a senior in a well-maintained 2016 RAV4 than in a cheaper 2006 or 2007 that may be burning oil or hiding age-related engine problems. The second and third best years are the 2017 and 2018 RAV4, and these are the real value sweet spot if you want the strongest balance of reliability, safety, affordability, and simplicity. I would call the 2017 the best safety value pick because Toyota made Toyota Safety's SenseP standard across the RAV4 lineup. And that is a major advantage because even a lower trim 2017 can have pre-collision warning with automatic braking support, lane departure alert, automatic high beams, and dynamic radar cruise control. For a senior, those features are not decoration. They are practical protection when traffic stops suddenly, when night driving becomes harder, when lane discipline requires more concentration, or when long-distance driving becomes tiring. The 2018 RAV4 is even more attractive because it is the final year of that 4th generation, and I would call it the best old generation sweet spot. Final year models are often among the most desirable used vehicles because the manufacturer has had years to correct, refine, and stabilize the platform. This is the year I would seriously consider if someone asked me for a reliable, senior-friendly used RAV4 without paying the higher price of the newer body style. It is simple enough that it does not feel like a rolling computer, but modern enough to include the safety features and comfort that older drivers actually benefit from. However, there is one senior-specific warning on the 2017 and 2018 RAV4 that most buyers miss, and that is headlight performance. Do not assume every trim lights the road the same way, because the headlight rating and headlight design can vary by trim. And for seniors, poor nighttime visibility is not a small issue. As drivers age, night vision, glare recovery, and contrast sensitivity can decline, which means weak headlights can make the car feel unsafe even if the engine and transmission are excellent. If you are buying a 2017 or 2018 RAV4 for an older driver, do not only ask about mileage and oil changes. Take the vehicle out at night, test the low beams on a dark road, and compare trims if possible. I would also be careful with the base LE trim if the senior driver has limited neck or shoulder movement, because blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert may not be a standard the way many buyers assume, depending on trim and package. Those two features are extremely useful for older drivers because they help during lane changes, reversing out of parking spaces, and backing out of angled spaces where larger vehicles block the view. If the budget allows it, I would step up to an XLE, limited, or properly equipped trim with blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert, because that small extra cost can be more useful than a bigger screen, bigger wheels, or cosmetic upgrades. The 4th best year is the 2021 RAV4, especially the hybrid version if the cable inspection checks out, and I would call this the best smooth driving upgrade. By 2021, Toyota had moved further away from the first-year 2019 launch problems, and the 5th generation RAV4 gives stronger modern safety technology, improved fuel economy, updated crash protection, and a more current interior. For senior drivers, the hybrid version is especially strong because the electric motor gives smooth low-speed movement from a stop, and that makes the vehicle feel calmer in parking lots, traffic queues, and slow neighborhood driving. This smoothness matters more than people realize. A standard gas model with a conventional automatic transmission can feel busier at low speeds because the transmission is always managing gear changes, but the hybrid system can move away from a stop with less drama, less noise, and less hesitation. For an older driver, that can make the vehicle feel easier to control, especially when creeping into a garage, backing out of a driveway, or moving through a crowded shopping center parking lot. The 2021 RAV4 Hybrid is not just about fuel economy. It is about smoother, more predictable daily driving. The 5th best year is the 2022 RAV4, again with the hybrid being the preferred choice if the vehicle passes the cable inspection and the buyer wants a long-term daily driver. I would call this the best modern long-term pick because the 2022 model gives you a newer version of the 5th generation RAV4 without putting you directly into the 2019 first-year gas model hesitation concerns. and it is modern enough to offer the safety, comfort, and efficiency that makes sense for someone who wants to keep the car for several years. If the budget allows it, this is one of the strongest RAV4 choices for seniors because it combines Toyota practicality with a more current safety package, better fuel economy, and a driving experience that feels less strained than many older compact SUVs. But even with the 2021 and 2022 models, do not let the word hybrid make you careless. If the vehicle is an AWD hybrid from a snowy or salted road region, you still need the rear high-voltage cable inspected before purchase. The correct way to shop is not to avoid hybrids completely, because the hybrid RAV4 can be excellent for seniors, but to buy the right one with the right inspection. A clean 2022 RAV4 hybrid with no corrosion concern, full service history, completed recalls, and strong safety equipment is a much better choice than a cheaper hybrid with hidden underside corrosion that nobody inspected. So here's the final buying logic. If the budget is modest and you want a reliable RAV4 that does not feel overly complicated, start with a clean 2016 but prioritize 2017 or 2018 if you can, because the standard Toyota Safety Sense P system makes those years much stronger for senior use. If I had to choose one used RAV4 for most seniors who want value, simplicity, and safety without paying newer hybrid prices, I would start with a clean 2018 XLE Limited or properly equipped trim because it gives you the mature 4th generation platform. Standard Toyota Safety Sense P, simple ownership, and enough safety technology without jumping into the higher cost and cable inspection concerns of the newer AWD hybrids. If the budget is higher and you want a smoother, more modern SUV, then move to a 2021 or 2022 RAV4 hybrid, but only after checking the high-voltage rear cable and confirming the vehicle's recall and service history. And here's what I would avoid. I would not recommend a 2006 or 2007 RAV4 with the 2.4-liter four-cylinder engine for a senior unless the repair history is unusually strong and the price is low enough to justify the risk. And I would be very cautious with the 2008 using the same engine if there is no proof of oil consumption repair. I would avoid the 2013 because the first-year redesign, torque converter shutter concern, and weaker safety equipment position make it a poor choice when 2017 and 2018 exist. I would also be careful with the 2019 gas model because the slow roll hesitation issue is exactly the kind of unpredictable driving behavior I do not want in a senior's daily vehicle. And with 2019 to 2022 hybrid AWD models, I would not buy one from a salted road climate until the rear motor cable has been inspected. Before you buy any RAV4 for a senior, do not trust mileage alone because low mileage does not prove the vehicle is healthy. A low-mileage car can still have old tires, weak batteries, dried seals, stale fluids, incomplete recalls, corrosion underneath, poor headlights, or safety systems that do not work properly. Pay for a pre-purchase inspection at an independent shop, ask the mechanic to check the VIN for open recalls, inspect the underside for rust and leaks, scan every module for hidden codes, check the hybrid cable if applicable, test the headlights at night, confirm blind spot monitoring and rear cross-traffic alert if the senior needs those features, and drive the vehicle slowly through the exact conditions where problems appear, including rolling stops, parking lot turns, gentle acceleration between 25 and 50 miles per hour, and stop-and-go traffic. Here is the simple rule. Do not buy a 2013 until you test it between 25 and 50 miles per hour under light throttle. Do not buy a 2019 gas model until you test it from a rolling stop. Do not buy a 2019 to 2022 AWD hybrid from a salted road area until the rear motor cable is inspected. And do not buy a 2017 or 2018 for a senior without checking the headlights and confirming the safety features on that exact trim. Those 4 checks alone can save you from buying the wrong RAV4. A Toyota RAV4 can be one of the best SUVs for seniors, but only if you buy the right year and inspect the right failure points. The right RAV4 remains a tool for independence, comfort, and safety, while the wrong one becomes an expensive problem that forces an older driver to deal with oil checks, shuttering, hesitation, poor visibility, or hidden repair bills. So before you spend your money, compare the year, check the service history, verify the recalls, and test drive it like you are looking for problems, not like you already decided to buy it. If this breakdown helped you avoid a bad purchase, like the video, share it with someone shopping for a used RAV4 and subscribe for more direct, data-driven car buying and repair guides. And next, you may also want to watch my other video here on the worst Toyota Highlander years to avoid and the best years for the Toyota Highlander for seniors. I will see you there.